Let's go around the ring. Let's talk about what you wanted to bring up here. Jon Jones retiring.
Yeah, obviously Jon Jones not on the White House card. We're going to talk about the White House card on the Patreon episode, so thank you, Patreon members. But Jon Jones not on the White House card, and that was probably going to be his last fight regardless. Plus, Dana kind of went bad on him. I don't know if you saw, he basically said he's done. He's got arthritis, and he was never in the running to be on the White House card, even though Jon talked about how they had been doing negotiations for quite a while. So yeah, first of all, are you upset Jon is not on this card? And second of all, just wrap up Jon Jones' legacy for me to you.
Okay, so I'm not upset he's not on his card because I don't know, I'm kind of done with Jon Jones at this point anyway. It would have been cool if Pereira could have somehow got that fight and somehow pulled off the miracle win, which was highly unlikely. Yes, in that perfect scenario for me, that would have been cool. It's not really likely, so it's just not really. I'd rather just not see.
I think that's a very good point. That was not very likely,
right? Because Jon, and just to get to his legacy, is one of the greatest fighters of all time. Even Dana White at this 11th hour will still tell you Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time. I think that's fair. You can argue some other people that are going to be in that mix when you talk about pound for pound, Khabibs of this world. Absolutely. But to say that Jon Jones, isn't in the discussion or in the Mount Rushmore of just talking purely the best inside the cage fighters of all time would be ludicrous. At the same time, when you look at guys who had the most controversial careers, surrounding careers, and getting into trouble, he's also on that Mount Rushmore along with Conor McGregor and BJ Penn and probably several other people. So, it's a mixed bag. His career is always going to be that way. Absolutely one of the best inside the cage. Absolutely had his struggles outside the cage. It'll be interesting to see how retirement is for this man. Like, is he going to be able to be like transfer?
I think it's going to be hard for him.
Yeah. Or is it going to be like, damn, what do I do?
Yeah, he's going to keep getting in trouble, I think. But yeah, so I think obviously, I think he was asking for the $30 million again or whatever, which the UFC agreed to pay him for the Tom Aspinall fight, and then he backed out of. So part of this is Jon's doing, obviously, being unreliable, being so difficult to deal with for the UFC. But it's also on the UFC, the White House card, which, like I said, we're going to talk about on the Patreon, but not overly impressive for what was promised. You'd want Jon Jones on there, arguably the greatest of all time. He's not on the card. The UFC, they just made $7.7 billion from this Paramount deal. They have the money to pay him for one last time to do this card that they said was going to be, the UFC on Noche on steroids or whatever.
That didn't happen. We'll talk about that.
That didn't happen. Yeah. Obviously not super thrilled with the card, and for him to just kind of like wander off and not get any kind of send off is sad, but also very fitting for the sport of MMA too. So I hope that he's actually done and we don't get this like back and forth where he's in and out and he's hanging around. I don't want to hear about him anymore. The UFC should 100% release him, though. If they don't want to fight him, obviously there's other opportunities for him out there. We could talk about this too. Francis signing on to fight Felipe Lins on the undercard of the Gina and Ronda, or the co-main event for the Gina and Ronda fight on Netflix. So Jon would love to go fight Francis. Oh yeah, even though he ducked him for a while, he'd get that 30 mil and then some probably from Netflix. So it's disappointing from both parties, but I'm going to place most of the blame on the UFC for this one.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. The only thing I will say, though, I do feel like Dana White was pretty consistent back in the day. He did not want Jon on the UFC White House card himself. And he did say this, which I thought was kind of a poor excuse, though. He said that, yes, there was probably people talking to him, matchmakers and stuff, because everybody was looked at. Well, if you know he's not going to be on the card, then why would your matchmakers be talking to him anyway? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, like Luke Thomas and Ariel and all them, they have like pretty solid evidence, I guess, sources that say that there were like legit negotiations going on. So Dana's a fucking liar. We know this. That's the promoter. Nobody shits on their own product as a CEO more than Dana White. So yeah, the way he goes bad. I mean, look at Tom Aspinall. He had he's with Eddie Hearn now. So some of these, chickens might be coming home to roost sort of thing for Dana, but we can talk about that on the Patreon. But yeah. So it's disappointing overall. I mean, never was a Jon Jones fan, but with the expectations for this card, you wanted somebody like that level, and that was what he wanted, and he said it was going to be his only option for fighting again. So, one send off for arguably the greatest of all time, I think should have been done, but it's what it is. Hopefully we don't hear from him at all anymore.